Good morning, students. So today we are going to discuss brachial plexus. Now what is brachial plexus? Brachium means upper limb and plexus group of nerves. So they are the group of nerves which supplies both sensory and motor supply to the upper limb. It is one of the important content of axilla. Now how it is formed? So brachial plexus, it is formed by the union of ventral primary rami of lower cervical four cervical nerves. So they are formed by the union of ventral rami of lower four cervical nerves. Now cervical nerves, they are 8 in number. Upper four cervical nerves, they form cervical plexus, and lower four cervical nerves, they form the brachial plexus. Now other doubt may rise that what is this ventral rami? So before going to brachial plexus, I give a brief idea regarding the ventral rami. So if we take the TS of spinal cord, so it has a dorsal horn, a ventral horn. From here arise the dorsal root, and from here arise the, now this is dorsal root and this is ventral root. Now these two roots, they unite in the intervertebral foramen, and from here it exit as the two ramus. For example, this is dorsal rami and this is ventral rami. Now ventral rami of lower four cervical nerves, it forms the brachial plexus. So I hope you get a brief idea regarding the ventral rami. Next, what are the components of brachial plexus? So it contains roots, then trunk, then division, then cord and branches. Now what are the roots? So these roots are the ventral rami of lower four cervical nerves. So lower four, so we consider it as C5 to C8 and also T1 also. So C5 to C8 ventral rami, it forms the root. Sometimes the upper root may also contribute. For example, C4 take part in the formation of brachial plexus. Then we call it as prefixed. And sometimes T2 may take part in the formation of brachial plexus. Then we call it as postfixed. So that is regarding the root. Next, trunk. So trunk is formed by the union of roots. So there are three trunks: upper trunk, middle trunk and lower trunk. So upper trunk, it is formed by the union of C5 and C6. Middle trunk, it is formed by the union of C7. And lower trunk, it is formed by the union of C8 and T1. So this is regarding the trunk of brachial plexus. Next we will move to the division. Now each trunk divides into two divisions, that is ventral division and dorsal division. So each trunk, it again divides into ventral division and dorsal division. Next we shall move on the chord. Now this division, they unite to form the three chords. They are the lateral chord, then medial chord and posterior chord. So I will give you a schematic diagram. Before that, just a brief regarding the chords. That is, it has three chords: lateral chord, medial chord and posterior chord. And this chord again divides into branches, different branches. They supply to the upper limb as well as upper back muscles. So this is regarding a brief idea about the components of brachial plexus. So first, root. So root we know C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1. Next component is trunk. So C5 and C6 unite to form the upper trunk. C7 forms the middle trunk. C8 and T1 unite to form the lower trunk. Next comes the division. So I told each trunk divides into two. This ventral division and dorsal division. Again this two, ventral and dorsal. Again this two, ventral and dorsal. Next is the chord. Ventral division of upper trunk and middle trunk unite to form the lateral chord. Now ventral division of lower trunk forms the medial chord, and dorsal division of all the three divisions, all the three trunks unite to form the posterior chord. Okay, next, branches. Branches. So before going to branches, we have to see the branches that arise from the root. For example, from the root, the different branches are nerve to branches from the root. They are nerve to serratus anterior, that is long thoracic nerve. Okay. Next, dorsal scapular nerve, or otherwise known as nerve to rhomboidus. So from the name itself, we know it supplies to rhomboidus major and rhomboides minor. Next is the nerve to longus colli and scalene muscles. Scalene muscles. And also a twig goes to the phrenic nerve also. Phrenic nerve, it is formed from the cervical plexus, but a twig also goes to the phrenic nerve. So these are the branches from the root. From the trunk, only upper trunk the branch arrives. So branches from the upper trunk, they are suprascapular nerve, which supplies to supraspinatus and infraspinatus. And another one is nerve to subclavius. So these are the branches from the root and the upper trunk. Next, the important branches, they are arising from the codes. So from lateral cord, three branches. Three branches, they are lateral pectoral, then lateral root of median nerve and musculocutaneous nerve. So this pectoral nerve, this supplies to the pectoral muscles. Musculocutaneous nerve supplies to the anterior compartment arm muscle. So in that comes the biceps brachii, then coracobrachialis and brachialis muscle, three muscles. Next is the medial cord. So medial cord has 5 branches. They are medial cutaneous nerve of arm, then medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, then ulnar nerve, next medial root of median nerve, medial pectoral nerve. So cutaneous, from the name itself, it supplies the sensory supply to the arm. Now this for the medial aspect of the forearm. Ulnar nerve, it supplies to the ulnar aspect of the forearm. Not all muscles, only 2 muscles. That is flexor carpi ulnaris and flexor digitorum profundus. Medial pectoral nerve, lateral pectoral nerve, this applies to the pectoral muscles. Now medial root of median nerve or median nerve, in turn, it supplies to the anterior compartment forearm muscles, except flexor carpi ulnaris and flexor digitorum profundus, which are supplied by the ulnar nerve. Next comes the posterior cord. So again, posterior cord, 5 branches. They are upper subscapular nerve, lower subscapular nerve, then nerve to latissimus dorsi, radial nerve and axillary nerve. Axillary nerve. Now upper subscapular nerve supplies to subscapularis muscle, upper part of subscapularis muscle. Lower subscapular, it supplies to lower part of subscapularis as well as teres major muscle. Now to latissimus dorsi, from the name itself, Radial nerve, it supplies to the posterior compartment, arm, forearm muscles. Axillary nerve supplies to deltoid and teres minor. So this is regarding the branches of the brachial plexus. Now regarding the relation of brachial plexus, root and the relation is based on the clavicle. So root and trunk, they lie above the clavicle. So they are supraclavicular part. Division lies below the clavicle. So here it forms the division lies or retroclavicular part. Cord and branches lie below the clavicle. So they forms the infraclavicular part. So in this way we can divide the brachial plexus. They are the relations of brachial plexus based on the clavicle. Next, blood supply. So blood supply, it is done by vertebral artery and thyrocervical trunk. These both are the branches of subclavian artery. So this is regarding the brachial plexus. And our last topic is applied anatomy of brachial plexus. Applied anatomy, two important applied anatomy is there. One is Erb's paralysis. Another one is Klumpke's paralysis. Now in Erb's paralysis, upper trunk is affected. That is C5 and C6. In Klumpke's paralysis, lower trunk is involved. It is C8 and T1. So here C5 is mostly affected and here T1 is mostly affected. Now how they are affected? So mainly during the birth injuries or fall on shoulder. If we fall by shoulder, our upper trunk is damaged. And in Klumpke's paralysis, it affects when we fall downwards and we try to pull an object or we try to pull something. At that time, our lower trunk is affected. Also, sometimes birth injury. At the time of birth also, it can affect the lower trunk. Now here, muscles affected are biceps, then brachialis, brachioradialis, supinator, and here the muscles affected are intrinsic muscles of hand and ulnar side muscles, forearm, or ulnar nerve which supplies the forearm muscles. Now the lesion is policeman tip hand. Policeman tip hand means our arm is adducted, and medially rotated. Forearm extended and pronated. So arm, it is adducted and medially rotated. Forearm, it is extended and this is supinated and this is pronated. So it will look like this way. So they gave the name policeman tip hand. Now in clumcase paralysis, it leads to claw hand because mainly ulnar nerve is affected. Here our metacarpal joint is extended and interphalangeal joint is flexed. So it looks, so here metacarpophalangeal joint, it is extended and intercarpal joint is flexed. So it looks like this, claw hand. So that is the lesion or of the clumcase paralysis. And another in applied anatomy is the paralysis of the long thoracic nerve, which leads to the winging of scapula, which happens because of the paralysis of serratus anterior muscle. So this is regarding our brachial plexus and its applied anatomy. Thank you.